Let's get started. We're here to talk about on-chain org design. I've been writing articles on DAOs for the past year, but especially a lot more consistently the past few months. And there was a contact form in these threads to say, hey, if this vision resonates with you, reach out and let's do something together. Let's join forces. And so this is the first meeting in this initiative. A little bit about me. My name is Justice. My background is I was a full stack web developer in 2009, and I went into enterprise IT, agile, lean, so more like a team orchestration, team design, you could say, like program design. And then got sucked down the DAO rabbit hole with Bankless DAO. Now, I had tried to be involved in DAOs prior to that, but it just wasn't as easy as basically launch a token gated Discord snapshot. It was like multi-sig. It was like, wow, this is too cool, fun. And I was the Bankless DAO's governance solution engineer. And then recently, as of February 1st, I came on full time with Polygon to do DAO ecosystem development. And so that's who I am and how you got here. So I want to present an idea to everyone here. I won't make any assumptions on whether you're in on this, but this is my first pitch on doing something different and cool. At the end of this, if you're like, sounds neat, but I don't know, I don't like, then all good. But if you're like, that's pretty cool, then there'll be some next steps on how we can work together. I broke out this presentation into 5 key pieces on why I think this idea I'm going to present to you is interesting. The first is the unique emphasis. You'll see some of this in my writing. There's an emphasis on architecture, descriptive trade-offs, engineering-oriented DAO thinking, and then a unique construction, a way for us to create a book or a series of books around this unique emphasis in a way that each of us has upside and carries our own voice in it. And then number 3, drops in compensation. How does this go out into the world and how do we have sustainability built in? And then collective governance, like how is this more, the one person's show or a couple people's show? How are you going to write a book about DAOs and not have collective governance? You know what I'm saying? And then promotion is the partnership and how Polygon plays into this. Okay, so first up, a unique emphasis. I think this is my opinion. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. There's other groups out there. But my opinion is there's an older narrative or a certain segment that sees DAOs as hobbyist nonprofits, and that's fine. I think that's awesome. There's a place for everything. But I think there's an opportunity to press into DAOs as programmable companies in a more agnostic way on how one should design that, okay? And I think there's a way to approach this that looks more like DevOps or engineering, where we talk about modular organizational Legos or org capabilities, and it's more kind of tech focused and structure agnostic. And then I think if we have this framing and this approach, this opens us up to apply the whole DAO construct to new things like startups and enterprises, which I think is our total addressable market for like people leveraging DAO utility goes from 20,000 to 300 million, right? Okay, here's an idea how I think a group of people can construct this book, and that's leveraging templates. I've put together some basic ideas of what some templates could be. None of this is carved in stone, but you can see above at the top use cases, tools, patterns, suites, and case studies, and an example of what that content could look like. For instance, a use case would be, what's the advantage of doing identity on chain? You have one page, and then maybe you link out to other material and go deeper. Same thing with tools. And then you see down at the bottom of this template in the wild, maybe you point to a particular DAO that's using this in a cool way, and you could link out to them. And then in patterns, in Zodiac, I don't know if Gnosis Guild is on the line, huge fan. The whole like pattern framing of, oh, you could do this, like plays on how to address certain things is extremely cool and attractive. And it's completely open-ended. It just goes on forever. And then Suites captures the like more like full stack governance stacks of Moloch or Argon, or even aggregators too. Samudai, that's designed, or Sobol, it's designed to bring many pieces together. And then the case studies would actually be looking at particular DAOs and saying, how are they doing it? What's their particular stack? And by approaching the construction of this book like templates, you can have a single person who owns that template, has credit for that template, and those things that come with it. It creates an environment for maximum kind of parallel contribution. Some ideas on what these templates could be, and I've actually went ahead and made a Trello board and stockpiled it with a bunch. And occasionally I'll think of like a new pattern. I'm like, using Moloch as a reputation system. I'll throw that in there. And so that's there. Next up. Okay, great. We could all get together and write something. Cool. But where does the sustainability comes in? Where's the financial game of it? And I think there's an opportunity to adopt something like a meta label style recurring drops. Now, I've already spoken with meta label. If you're not familiar with meta label, they're really neat. They basically allow a bunch of people come together, produce some sort of content. Each person gets like a token representing their share of contribution. And then when they do a drop, people buy that item in the form of an NFT, and there may be a physical component to it. If you buy it, you get a physical copy, and all the money gets split out among those contributors in that drop. We can adopt something like this either through meta label, or we could do it ourselves with the 0x splits and stuff like that. And the cool thing here is this doesn't need to be a one and done. This is really like a series, because when you think about, there's always new tools, there's always new suites, there's always new plays. This can go from like maybe a first edition is vision, value, concepts, categories, right? And then continual additions are ongoing components, plays, use cases, solutions, whatever. And so the idea is we would adopt something like this where each author whose template is included in the drop gets an NFT entitling them to a split in the profit. So that's the idea there. Next up, this is the part I'm most excited about, is the idea to introduce collective governance in this. Who decides what submissions get included in the edition, in the book? And I think there's a thing we can do here where previous template authors can be given governance rights. So when people come in and submit and say, hey, I wrote a new template, I want to be included, here's my draft, and then basically the previous holder can actually vote on the inclusion. And so people who've already contributed now act as the curator community. And so we're practicing what we preach as far as the value of DAOs. And then maybe we can even design a split, such as maybe the actual treasury of the DAO and the Moloch DAO actually hold some of those split NFTs. So some percentage comes back. And so there's a vested interest to continue to hold your governance rights because you know you want to be in this for the long haul. Okay, so there's that. And then here's how this came to be is promotion side. Polygon. Polygon has a vested interest. It's a part of its new DAO vision to promote DAOs as a primitive, not just for hobbyist nonprofit collectives with flat hierarchies, but any type of on-chain organization. This is for startups, enterprise, anything, either in whole as internet native companies or in part as organizations seek to do things like Adidas, Nike, Disney, Reddit want to introduce programs that provide greater voice or collective governance over some subset of assets to users. So it's a true progressive decentralization. Polygon, as I work for Polygon now full time, they want to support, promote, endorse this playbook. And what this group would get, if whoever's interested in doing this from Polygon, would be like resources in the form of like graphic design, tweets, retweets, attention, support from the DAO team, and then also opportunity for, there's a new thing called Polygon Village, which is a program to help young startups get the connections they need. And what's going to happen in Village is something called a DAO camp. And we'll need like mentors and stuff. And this would be the ideal group to pull that from and use this material to kind of show teams how to build on chain. And then obviously the networking and connections. That touches on the main high points of this thing, the vision and what I think we could do. If any of this, you're like, this is pretty interesting. I'm interested in checking this out. The next steps would be to join the Polygon Discord, tag me, and then I've carved out an area for this DAO architects group, and then we could collaborate there. I'm here to support, encourage, and coordinate. And as far as specifically my role, my aim on this is to be a servant to the group. My ultimate goal is to create a more productive DAO ecosystem. My upside here is making an impact and helping create a system that runs itself, even when I'm not even any more involved. If we figure out how to do this, then maybe other groups adopt a similar type of aggregation incentive design. So that's what I got for you. Now open up the floor for questions, comments, and we can chat.